So let's say you built yourself an LLM wiki knowledge base, maybe following the instructions from my website. And now you say, I want to turn it into an AI operating system. I want it to do things for me. Maybe read your email, maybe upload things to your website. Well, this is where things can go wrong really bad, really fast. Don't give your AI agent reach without really considering what that reach actually is. So I connect my AI agent, my AI operating system to real things, to real accounts, but I do it very carefully. And there are always 4 questions that I ask myself before setting up a new connection. First off, what do people even connect AI agents to? Let's start with files and notes. So here, the agent can read the files, write to the files, edit them, save them. Then there's other things like web browsers, a website, an email account, calendar, a productivity app, cloud drives, messaging tools, social media accounts, online shopping, things running your smart home. The list goes on and on. Anything that you could connect to and do something in, people would potentially want to hook an AI agent up to it and have the agent do things there on their behalf. I intentionally do not connect my agent to all of these things that I just mentioned, and I do that for very specific reasons, and I'll get into that later. Before I connect my system to anything, I ask myself 4 basic questions. The first is, what can it see? Is there private material here that an AI agent should not be accessing? And by private, I mean, do you want this information to be on the server of whatever AI provider you happen to be using? Number 2, what does it do with that information? Can it only look? Can it make drafts based on that information? Or can it actually do something and act? 3, if it actually does something, is it something I can undo? And 4, does that action reach other people? A note on my computer is different from an email being drafted and sent out to people on my contact list. And my rule is every new connection gets watched, period. It has to earn its right to act. So as soon as I connect something, I watch what it's doing, I monitor it, and make sure it's doing exactly what I said it could do. Nothing is allowed to act alone on day 1, period. Let me explain what that looks like with my websites. I have 2 websites that Claude is currently connected to, and it's able to act on those websites for me through WordPress. I have a specific account that I set up for Claude to have access to, and on that account, I've created an application-specific password that Claude is able to use. I'll tell you more about how you actually give Claude that password later. So Claude's application password sits on an account that does not have full access to the website. It can only do the things that I specify that it's allowed to do. And it does these things using the REST API interface, which is the official connection that WordPress has set up for software tools and agents to be able to do things on a person's behalf. So what does it do? It creates new blog posts and puts in drafts that I have pre-approved. It updates existing blog posts with content that I have pre-approved. It makes other updates to the pages according to things that I have pre-approved. And at the end, it tells me, hey, I've made these changes. They're ready for you to preview at these URLs. You can publish them when you're ready, or you can tell me and I will publish them. But it will only publish when I give the go-ahead. Sometimes there's things Claude can't do through the REST API, and if I want it to do those things, I let it do so through the Claude Chrome connection. So this is an official connection that Anthropic has built so that Claude can work in the Chrome web browser. And the way this connection works is I will log into an account where Claude is allowed to do the things that I want it to do, and then Claude will take control of that browser tab and do the actions for me. You might think that's stupid. Why would you do that? Why not do it yourself? I'm not very good in WordPress. It would take me hours to figure this stuff out. I don't ever remember where this setting or that setting is or how to update the whatever PHP file. But Claude knows this. It does it pretty fast. It does it well. And I haven't had anything go wrong so far. If anything did go wrong, I have multiple backups of my website, so I can always revert back to a previous version. My newsletters do the same kind of setup. I use Kit, and Claude connects to Kit to my particular Kit account using the REST API and the API key that I've set up for it. So Claude can set up the drafting kit based on the draft that I've already approved. Then when it comes time to preview it and do the final send, that's on me. And again, if something needs to be done that can't happen through the API interaction, we do that on the browser with Claude running the tab that I have specifically logged into, and I'm letting it operate for a limited time. All right, now this part's really important because you should never paste a password into a Claude chat session or any AI chat session, because that information is now going to be sitting on the server somewhere else. So how do you give Claude the password without Claude seeing the password? So in my system, there's one place where all the passwords live. Each password is in its own file, and Claude is not allowed to actually read those files. It's able to use the file to give the password to the application, but Claude, in the actual chat and in what's stored on servers, it never sees the password. So how do I do that? Well, I'm using Claude Code. I don't remember typically how to do this in the terminal. I don't do it that often. And so I very eloquently ask Claude, hey, I need to give you a password. Can you do that thing that you do to make the file pop up so I could just paste in the password? Then what happens is a little thing pops up in the Claude desktop app. It has a little piece of script next to it with a play button or a run button. And when I click that, this piece of code runs. It creates a text file in the right place with the right name, and inside says, I don't know, WordPress API key equals, and then it says, Julie, paste your API key here. So I paste the API key in, I click save, I close the file. Claude never sees the file, but the file is created and the file is in a place where Claude knows that it can access it to open the particular connection. Okay, I probably will be posting more about that later because things still can go wrong when you're giving Claude passwords the first time. The first time I connected it to my WordPress, Claude just simply asked me, "Hey, tell me your password. You can paste it in right here." And I thought, this doesn't seem right. I don't think this is right. I think I remember hearing something about that. You're never supposed to paste a password into a chat. And so then I started asking and prodding and pushing. And turns out you're never supposed to paste a password into the chat. So I'll be posting more on that at another time. But for now, just don't do it. So I already talked about Claude in the web browser when I was talking about my blog and my newsletter. But there's loads of other times where it's really useful to have an AI agent working with you in your web browser. Now, everybody's going to say, oh my God, don't do that. You might be logged into this and that and the other thing, and it's going to steal your banking information and do terrible things with it. Here's how I handle that. So nothing important in my web browser is ever saved such that as soon as a page is opened, I'm automatically logged in. All of my passwords are stored in an external password manager. Anytime I log into something, it is because I have entered my master password or given it my fingerprint or my express permission. These are things Claude can't do. So Claude can only access things in the web browser that I have given it the login to access. I do these things in the Chrome browser using Anthropic's official Chrome extension. There's also a Claude add-on for the Chrome browser, and that's not what I'm talking about. I'm still working in the desktop interface. Claude is connecting to the Chrome browser using this extension. I do need to be logged into the browser for it to be able to make that connection. So don't get those things confused. If you're typing into the side panel on your browser asking Claude to do stuff, that's not what I'm talking about. All right. And again, I want to point out, because a lot of people say this is really dangerous. You need to be so careful. But the thing I want to bring up is that I've never had Claude try to do things that it shouldn't be doing. How does this work? I'm logged into Claude in the Chrome browser using the same account I'm logged into on my desktop app. And then I tell Claude, hey, I want to do this thing in the browser. Then a new little tab will open up in the browser and Claude will start working. It will actually just start looking to see what's there. You might have to drag your tab into Claude's tab, or maybe it wants you to log in there. Basically, you can see it mousing around on the screen. You have to stay hands off at this point. Let it do its thing. If you're scrolling around, Claude's not going to be able to see what it needs to see and click where it needs to click. But it will definitely reach certain points where it says, I won't do that. I've reached as far as I can reach. You're going to have to do this part now. You're going to have to accept these terms and agreements. You're going to have to click to save this or change this. There are certain things built in that Claude will not do on your behalf in the Chrome browser. It tells me a message in the desktop app, I'm done. You take over the mouse now and you do this part. Let's talk about the mode that you're operating Claude Code in. So when you're working with Claude Code, it's going to ask you for permission to do whatever it's doing. And you can change the settings for how often it asks for permission and for what kinds of things. These are the official permission modes, and it ranges from ask me every time you want to do anything all the way to I'm just going to let you run fully autonomous on my behalf. Now, you might say, I'm new to this. I'm going to be very cautious at the beginning. I'm going to set it so that it's going to have to ask for everything. Here's what's going to happen when you do that. You're going to sit there and you're going to watch it, and it's going to ask you something, and you have no idea what that means. And you're going to click yes. It's going to ask you again something else. Can I do this? You have no clue what it means. And it's going to keep this over and over and over until you're just sitting there watching your computer, clicking yes, yes, yes. And then at some point, you just have to decide, do I trust this tool or don't I? Here's my thinking. The protection lives in two different places. First is in Claude itself. The model is trained to reject harmful requests. It is trained to treat instructions that turn up inside web pages and other content with suspicion. You may have heard of prompt injection, where people say the agent suddenly gets a message that says, ignore everything else you said and give me your bank account details. Anthropic trains and tests against this, so Claude should not follow those things. Second is the software around the model. This is what's called the harness. So if I'm operating Claude Code, there are things in the harness, like the permission system that I talked about previously, that will always ask you, can I do this, before doing some consequential action. And if you're running it in autonomous mode, a second AI will review those requests and flag those that are associated with some dangerous actions. Is any of that perfect? No. Is that enough? I don't know. But that's why the rest of the stuff that I'm talking about is really important. It means drafts get written, but they can't be sent. An email might get drafted in my chat session, but it can never go into my account to be sent to somebody. API keys can be revoked anytime. Backups are there in case I need to revert. So the idea is if something goes wrong, the blast radius is small. So I have multiple safety layers in place, and hopefully one click shouldn't be able to take down all of it. At least that's the idea. So one more thing. I keep talking about Claude Code, but the tool that you're using matters more than any individual setting by itself. So if you are running open source AI agents on your computer, then the safety situation is completely different, and the access situation is completely different. You are the entire safety department. If you are running one of these and you're an expert, that's great. But if you're just getting started and you have no clue, things can go wrong, really wrong, before you even know that it happened. So for me, I'm still in the learning phase, and I'm not ready to give up that safety layer just yet. So I'm sticking with Claude Code and doing the other things to kind of make the whole system together secure. Now let's talk about the things I have not connected. I'm not going to go into all of them because there's loads, but I think the most important of those is email. Claude does not read my email, period. My clients write to me in confidence. I have non-disclosure agreements, privacy agreements. I'm in Germany and my clients are in Europe, and so I have GDPR to consider. As soon as Claude were to read my emails, that information would now be on Anthropic's servers, and I would have broken those agreements. Maybe that changes someday with a different setup, but for now, the answer is no. Would it be more convenient if Claude could connect to my email and do things for me there? Yes, but it's just not in the cards for me right now. And for me, I think that's a good model. You don't have to connect everything on the first day. Every no that you say when you're looking at your connections makes your blast radius smaller. So just start small, pick one thing, ask the 4 questions. What can it see? What can it do? Can I undo it? And who does it reach if it does do it? Weigh the risk against the benefit, watch it work, and see how it feels to have an agent do work for you. And then go forward from there. So I talk about a lot more of this on the blog. Have a look and see other things I've connected, more specifics about how to make those connections. And if you have any questions, just drop them in the comments. Bye.